All right, Mal, what do you got?
Well, it's time for Magic's newest set, Dominaria, a return to Dominaria.
It's time.
Which, yeah, we haven't been. Dominaria is where it all started. It's like the first half of Magic, basically.
Yeah, it was for a while.
Of its 25 years was in Dominaria. It's their biggest set. It's where like their biggest stories have taken place.
Wow, for those of us who don't know what Magic is, could you tell us a little bit more about it?
Magic the Gathering is a trading card game produced by Wizards of the Coast.
And
You read that off like you had
1993.
just like a card in front of you waiting for this.
No, I just know what Magic is.
It was created by blah 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 blah.
Wow.
Richard Garfield created it, and he is back for Dominaria though, which
is he really?
very
Wow, that's
exciting.
cool.
Yes, the last real set he worked on was Innistrad.
The first
Oh,
Innistrad, right?
Wait, Innistrad?
Yes, the
or
first
Return to-
Innistrad.
Okay.
The first one was the last one he set in 2011. He's got Mark Rosewater, the head designer, was talking about this, that he's got an open invitation to come work, and they're like, we'd be happy to have them anytime he wants to work for him. And then whenever he's asked, he's like, yeah, I'd love to work for him anytime they ask. So they're both just sitting there waiting for the other. So he's like, you know what? Hey, you want to come work? Or you want to come work on this set? So that's how he's on Dominaria. But yeah, it comes out soon.
How soon?
Didn't actually look that part up.
Mal, Mr. Prepared.
Oh yeah.
Finally got you.
He just got Mythic Spoiler up. That's it.
Yeah, not the website for actual Magic.
I want to immediately talk about the to you. I mean,
It should be yes, it should be out the 20. So the pre-release is the 21st that weekend. So the next week is when you can actually buy product, the 28th of April. But yeah, they accidentally went to go post the release notes for their Magic 25 edition, and accidentally posted the release notes for Dominaria, spoiling a lot of cards.
Which is hilarious.
Yes,
Because it's
so we got
normally like a
lot of
printer
text.
who spoils them.
Right, like usually it's like a leak through like a printer, or someone somehow like steals a bunch of cards, or like they had the God Book of New Phyrexia get stolen, which had like just everything. But yeah, this one they did themselves. And they're like, yeah, we messed up. So here's, because it was actually on their Chinese site. So like, here's all the English text, so you don't have to do weird translations. We're gonna do spoiler season a little differently, but this week they've actually we've got a lot of like last week was one a day, but yeah, we've got a lot this week. And so even the cards we knew about, we're getting the art, and the art is phenomenal.
yes.
Yeah,
It's
looks good.
beautiful.
Yeah. So Dominaria, the last we saw it was in Time Spiral in 2009-ish. And it went through an apocalypse. Because they didn't want to just because they just did so much in Dominaria, and there's so many continents in Dominaria and whatnot. Like there's just so much going on. They wanted to they're like, hey, we have this whole multiverse. We have our characters are planeswalkers. They're like, they go throughout to different planes traveling. 2006 was when Time Spiral started. So yeah. They're like, let's show off more planes, and they blew up Dominaria basically. And in doing so, they weakened their planeswalkers because they used to be literal gods. So when they were like, we're finally coming back to Dominaria, what's the theme? And they're like, because it's not just like the Egyptian plane or the Gothic horror plane.
Yeah.
They're like, what's its theme? It already does so much. And they're like, well, we've done so much with it. It's now, and they also just didn't want it to be like post-apocalypse. They're like, we want it to be defined by its history. So like history is basically its theme, which it has a lot of. So some of the new mechanics show that with the first like new one being sagas, which are this weird enchantment. It's got a weird new design for the card where the text is the art and text are both vertical on the card. And like it tells a story from Magic's history's past where you play it, it gets a counter on it, and then the next time after you draw your card, you put another counter on it to do the second step, whatever it tells you, and then the third, and then you sacrifice it. And like each step can be different. Yeah, this mechanic comes direct from Richard Garfield. I thought they showed the prototypes on Monday, and they're a lot weirder, though. They do a lot more. They're a lot more busy and whatnot.
Yeah.
So they kind of simplified them, and I think they're really cool.
Yeah, they're interesting.
Yeah, and they all have amazing art because they're all like either statues or tapestries or something, or like something like somehow to tell a story. Like they're not just like a person doing a thing, but like, you know, the statue of Gerard, or the interpretation of Gerard killing Yawgmoth.
Yeah.
They also have historic, which is directly tied to them wanting to do history. A historic spell are artifacts because they have a lot of things from swords and magical trinkets and whatnot that all do things, or like a giant planeswalking ship, the Weatherlight, shows back up now. So historic are artifacts, and then legendaries, which legendary creatures and whatnot are important people, and then sagas, which are telling the history of Dominaria. So there'll be a card that's like whenever you cast a historic spell, this card gets +1/+1 until end of turn, or it might get a +1/+1 counter, or return a historic spell from your graveyard to your hand. And then they're also bringing back Kicker, which is a very basic mechanic in that it's just you pay the Kicker cost when you cast the spell, and you get the extra effect. And it's basically a lot of other mechanics are a derivative of the Kicker, but it's been around for a long time. That's the return.
Yeah, it's like
mechanic.
a staple in almost any card game. We'll see some kind of effect that's somewhat like that.
Yeah. They also are doing legendary sorceries, which you can only cast if you have a legendary creature or planeswalker on the field. They all are like legendary effects from Magic's past, basically, and they're all the whole cycle. There are 5 of them, one for each color. They're all done by Noah Bradley. He did the art for them, and they are just fantastic.
Yeah, the art is just really good.
Mm-hmm. They've also made like some changes on some templating, and then they have a new frame for legendary creatures, and it's just an amazing set to look at. Like, I love the art and the power level. So we got all of the text for a lot of cards. Like half the set, I think we got the text for early, but we didn't get the rarities. So people are like looking at these cards and they're like, "Oh, this card seems so good. This must be a rare." And then it gets spoiled as an uncommon, and people are like, "What?" So yeah, a common consensus is the power level for this set is quite high.
Good. I'm tired of these other sets.
But yeah, so I've loved everything I've seen about the set. And story starts off with the recent planeswalkers. The recent breakup after Nicol Bolas scattered them to the wind. Well, everyone but Jace met back up on Dominaria. So it's it takes place as Jace is on Ixalan.
Yeah.
But Nissa pieces out. She's over this crap, and Chandra has to go do a thing. So it's just Gideon and Liliana at the start of the story. She's
dealing with her problems, basically.
Yeah, she wants to kill her last demon, because she's killed the other 3, and now she just has one more to get control over Soul back. And she expects him to leave, and he's like, "Nah, I'm good. I'll help."
There's cultists here.
It's annoying, but Yeah, it's annoying. Like he doesn't like her, but
Yeah.
he's willing to help, which like put her off or like surprised her.
Her brother's
then-
like a lich or something.
Yeah, you find out her brother's alive because she's been off of Dominaria for like, I mean, she's over 200 years, and so she hasn't been on Dominaria for like 200 years, basically. So that was like the start, and then and then it cuts over to Giora, a very important person from the past. She's like 1,200 years old because of time magic, or basically she drank from a fountain of youth, practically. She's reassembling a Weatherlight crew and rebuilding the Weatherlight, and that's just been great. They've got an actual like fantasy author, Martha Wells, to be at the lead the story team and be the head writer. She's writing the first half of the stories, the first 6 of 12, and they've just been great.
Yeah, they've been better.
Yeah, the characters have been pretty cool. Like we saw some of like relatives from past characters from big names, and then you get to see some newer ones. Just I've been pretty impressed by it.
Well, I'm super excited that Llanowar Elves is back. That's what I said before.
Yes.
Before
It's
we started.
deceptively powerful. It's just a 1-mana 1/1 that can tap for a mana.
Yeah. So on turn 2, you have 3 mana.
Yeah.
There you go.
I just there's quite a few characters. There's Giora, she's 1,200 years old. There's Teferi, who is a time mage. He's pretty old. And then there's Joda, who's like 4,000 years old, who has been in the story for like 20 years, or like he showed up 20 years ago and is now finally getting a card in this set for the first time, which is kind of ridiculous. Like there's just so many big characters from Magic's past that don't have cards, which is kind of crazy to think about. With like some games, you would just never expect that. But yeah, so I want Liliana, who like made a deal with like 4 demons for immortality, to like just meet these characters who kind of accidentally became immortal.
They're like,
Yeah,
oh,
just
we did it
because-
this way.
Yeah, there's Squee the Goblin, who literally can't die because he was given immortality by Yawgmoth, a very powerful entity, we'll say, as a gift to someone else to torture over and over. But like he's immortal. Like I just want her to meet some of these characters and be like, what? You're immortal for like you didn't like have to, make
Sell
a deal
your
with
soul.
some demons. Right, sell your soul.
What's
Yeah,
your
that'd be
favorite
great.
art, Mal?
That's a hard question. There's a lot of good ones.
I'm liking Urgaros, the empty one.
Yeah.
It's edgy enough for me.
There's some edgy art.
Yeah. A lot of the black stuff
Yeah.
is pretty edgy.
Because her last demon is Bezalel.
Also like Joda.
Liliana's last demon, Bezalok, he's taking credit for all the big bads of the past Dominaria, basically.
Yeah.
Like the first story is like someone's like, this Black Blade was forged by, or was about to say forged by Dickon Blackblade, and someone else in the cult cuts him off, and they're like, no, it was forged by Bezalok, and they're like, oh yes, of course. Like he's like anything that any past villain has done, like he's taking credit for, which is kind of hilarious.
Yeah.
So yeah, and he rules the Cabal, which is like a thing from past history, and just the death cult, and I really like all of the Benelish stuff, which has tons of stained glass in their art. As I've said before, before the recording, it just looks so pretty. Like one of my favorite foils is Gift of Orzhov, which is like angel wings made of stained glass from Return to Ravnica, and the foils are just so pretty when it's stained glass involved. So I'm looking forward to seeing some of that.
Sure, people are happy to have their goblins.
Yep, goblins look real powerful. We got some real good reprints. With Siege
Goblin
Gang
War
Commander,
Chief.
Goblin War Chief, Uncommon. People were like,
Tribal Goblin time for drafts.
Rada from Time Spiral showed back up. She's now real buff, and I really like her art because they like explained the art direction of it. She's like standing over this dead body that she just killed, with this huge sword that is in pristine condition but her hands are just super bloodied. She basically just beat him to death, and the sword is just for decor.
Who was that?
She had a card from Time Spiral, and now she shows back up. She's
nice.
an elf. Yeah,
That's pretty sweet.
but yeah, just anything with stained glass is probably my favorite though. I'm looking forward to the set. Can't wait.
Oh, cool. Oath of Teferi becomes a card.
Yep.
Just like the other Oath.
Yeah, he joins the Gatewatch.
Nice. That's cool.
Yeah. They showed a trailer and he seems pretty hesitant to do anything. So like his character arc is going to be like becoming a hero again, it seems.
Gotcha. Still, the Merfolk will still keep going, it looks like, too.
Yeah, they've got a really good landfall Merfolk, basically. Doesn't have the mechanic landfall, but it's whenever a land comes into play, draw a card, gain a life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm definitely going to the pre-release.
Yeah, I'll probably go, too, because I didn't play in Ixal any. But these all look
I played
cool.
online, but I'm going to do this one in person, I think.
Oh, okay, that's saying a lot for you. Because you haven't been to an actual physical one in a while, have you?
Kaladesh. It's been since Kaladesh.
Yeah, okay.
I skipped Amonkhet and Ixalan in person.
Yeah, I haven't been since second Amonkhet set. Hour Devastation.
Yep.
So, yep, I'm looking forward to it.
Mm-hmm. It looks so good.